Hello, this is the ninth video of Hydra Coding Challenge, and as I said, this will be the part 2 of recreating Josef Albers squares. And the idea here is that in the part 1, I used shape function. Solid, and then you put shape as a layer, another layer, shape, and another layer, the shape. Gradually getting smaller, shifted slightly, and it's kind of almost what it is. I mean, the color-wise, I could probably tweak it more, but you can try it, and if you find good parameters, you can post it in the comment section. That I really appreciate. So why I'm doing another video with the same squares is that I want to create the same similar effect. Probably I won't get exactly, but I would like to try some other techniques, maybe, well, if I come up with, to create the same kind of, probably not exactly, but something similar. Because I think it's interesting to approach this with from different perspectives. The way I did in the last video is, again, it's a bit like processing or P5JS style, that you have like rect or shape inside another rect or shape, and it's kind of for loop to iterate it, or you can just list it like how I did. So let's see how I can create something. And I think the way, there are actually different ways to do it. Some nerdy ways, some more straightforward ways. And I would say I would go for OSC. And OSC, okay, it's completely, we're completely out of like what we had before, what we're aiming for. But if you do collate and rotate it, probably with math pi divided by 4, then it's, of course, it's not exactly the same. I mean, it's completely different colors, but you get the idea, right? And then maybe I just copy this mask and scaling from the last one. Then it's not bad. And compared to what we did here, it's quite simple. But now, here's the question. How would I change the color? And how would I make it so that one is color, and also like how to make sharp edge. And this is a little bit tricky because if you do thresh, that will be like first choice. And it's even closer, but it's actually not. Because if you think about it, how to paint them, how can you address like which part is which color? Because it's very difficult, because if you want 4 colors, you have to have like red, orange, yellow, and the green. You need to somehow distinguish them. Now it's just white and black, and it's difficult to work with. So I would say first posterize with another one. But I don't know if I would go with posterize, because oh, that's really cool. Yeah, posterize would give you something closer, but what I don't like is these lines. It's a little bit tricky when you work with OSC, because OSC's white color, it doesn't really go completely white, or just tiny bit of it, and posterize doesn't seem to like it. So what can I do? I mean, probably like posterize you can do it, but I would suggest going for pixelate. And pixelate, I don't know, 4, and then that's not good, 8. Oh, and then suddenly we have something good. Let's say it's good enough. And then because I need color somehow, And this is how to approach this. I don't really know. Mostly we need red and green channel. So like this, but then it's same color. I mean, just like a fading yellow. Now, what if I do this -1? Not really. I mean, I could also just try to do something like this until I get something close enough, but I don't know if that's very efficient. That's very tricky. I can also think about adding the phase into oscillator, and that gives different colors, which is actually good. And then I can just change this one until I get something more pleasant. And also, I know that I don't really need the blue channel, so maybe like I just keep it to like 0.2 or something. And then it gets easier, I think. This is not bad. This is actually good. So I think I can still like edit the parameters until I get something that's more reasonable. But oh, I really want to work on it. But probably instead of that, I think I should think about another question, which is how can I shift the shapes slightly downward? And this is this is way more difficult than like adjusting parameters. How do I do it? I think it's some kind of mathematical trick I need to use, I think. And this one I will delete it. So I just focus on this one. How do I do it? Actually, I don't know exactly. I think I have to start from here because this if you edit Khaled stuff, then like if you do like scroll X here, probably, or scroll Y, probably doesn't do anything because that's just like scrolling OSC, which doesn't make sense. Or if you put it here, then it doesn't make sense because it's kind of shifted around in a wrong way. And of course you can do this, but then the whole thing is shifted. But what I want is instead the inside is shifted more, the outside stays still. This sounds actually familiar. In the other video I did, in the Recode project, I did this nested rectangle inside rectangle, which are shifted so that it looks like a 3D effect. And I think I have to use that kind of trick, which was, I have to look into it where I did it. Let me check. I know that in the recording, I'm not sharing anything, but okay, I found it. So I open new tab and go there, this one. Now, the trick was, I have this modulate blah 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 here. So I think this whole thing, and in this one I had to use pixelate and repeat because it's kind of a grid, but in Josef Albers' case it's just one single cell, because there is no grid, so it's actually way easier. So the idea was that, I think the tricky one was this one, right? Gradient, R, repeat, invert, collate, rotate. This whole thing was the thing that has to modulate everything. So, did I say R? Yeah, I think I'll just copy the whole thing. That's cheating. This one. And I'll modulate this whole thing with R. Okay, without modulation, I need to see it. This is the original one. And if I modulate this, oh, that's really weird. That's because in the other version, I was using the noise function to kind of select which direction to shift it. But in this case, we know that we're always shifting downwards. So it's color 0, 1. Maybe it's -1. Let's evaluate all. Yeah, it's coming upward, so it's actually -1. Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. Because it's doing something very strange. Because now it's like completely going upwards somehow. Let's see. I think the idea is that this R thingy has to be modulated as well. No, it's R. Oops. But this weird kind of artifact. But the idea is the same. This is just a nesting, modulate, modulate, modulate. But this doesn't look really promising. So I think I have to look for a different technique to accomplish the effect. This starts to bother me that the color is wrong. Anyways, so how do I do this? I think still modulate is the right way, and maybe I would just do shape with some kind of blurriness. Oh, is it the same thing? It's the same thing, except if I do posterize, yeah, if I do posterize, then what you see actually is something like this, right? It's like, well, because of the scaling, it looks a bit strange. Yeah, but you have like this different levels. Maybe I want 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Yeah, you have 4 different levels. And if you compare with this one, yeah, I think this would work, because it doesn't even have to like be completely matched, but somehow this gives a kind of hint of like which part of the region should go how much. I mean, it's not really helpful how I'm explaining, but let's say you do posterize, maybe for 1, let's see how it goes. So now you can see that they're all going upward, is it? It looks going upward, right? So I go, oops. Oh, that's a bit glitchy. And just like the other modulation, it looks very strange how the effect comes out. So instead, I have to scale it in the end. That's strange. So am I happy with this result? To be honest, I'm not really sure, because it's very different from the, I mean, visually it is different from what I was aiming for, but I think it's okay. I mean, you get the idea that there's not always like one way to approach something, and this looks actually like more engineering or more math to create something which is difficult. But what I wanted to say is, for example, if you add like this parameter here in the OSC, then suddenly you find like this is not something you can easily do in the other example with like shapes. Or what if I take this pixelate out? Oh, this is actually, you could say this is interesting with this shifting with modulate. If I exaggerate the modulate a little bit, yeah, this is actually very interesting. This is definitely not Josef Albers, but we found something very interesting. So this kind of thing happens, and like this particular like weird example cannot happen with the layering shapes. So that's why I try to like show you like different ways, which is more intuitive, more controllable, let's say, but other way that's more maybe a little bit more hacky math way, but that can open up different possibilities as well. I mean, they have like pros and cons as you saw it, and the first one can be also like hacked with like rotate or like modulate rotate and do kind of interesting stuff as well. So that's that. And if you find any other ways to do it, please write in the comments. And if you have other suggestions for like what coding challenge you want to see, please write ideas, feedback. Everything is appreciated. And if you like the video, that's great. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I really, really, really appreciate that. I really appreciate everyone's help, and I want to continue this series as much as I have time and energy. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.